Okay, good morning everyone. Thank you for joining. Welcome to our Get Modern with Windows 10 and Office 365 presentation and webinar. Lucid Networks, we are an IT consultancy and we specialise in designing and supporting and delivering and managing IT across businesses in a range of sectors. We were founded in 2007 and we have two offices, one here in Manchester and one in Edinburgh. And our senior team have got 20 years IT experience in technical and in IT leadership roles. We help businesses who rely on IT manage and support their critical IT systems. And we do that in the data center, on-premise and in the cloud as well. We're also Cyber Essentials certified, and I'm in fact a Cyber Essentials assessor. So security is the prism through which we see most things. We're also a Microsoft Silver partner, and we've got that partnership accolade specifically for our work in helping customers move to Office 365. So a little bit about me. I've been in IT for 20 years in a range of roles, including frontline, network support, technical architecture, project engineering, and also IT leadership roles. I'm the managing director and principal consultant here at Lucid. And as a result, I'm very privileged to work with a range of customers, including some of the UK's best known organisations. What my work does is it gives me a unique insight into businesses who range from a handful of users right up to tens of thousands of IT users across different geographies. And I get to see how they're using IT. And in many cases, I and my team directly help them use and manage their IT better, quicker and more securely. And I do that by encouraging my customers to simplify IT, and that de-risks it. And when IT is simplified, you can then think about modernising it. Modernising allows you to take advantage of new tools like automation, and effective use of automation allows you to run your business better and to thrive. So a little bit about the market that we operate in. Most of our customers are in professional services. We're what the industry calls knowledge workers. We apply skills that we've learned through education and professional qualifications, and we generally deliver the benefits of that knowledge to our customers or clients by using a computer to process information in some way. The landscape, the IT landscape that we work in is changing rapidly, and mostly that's to do with security. According to the NCSC, which is the National Cyber Security Centre, they're the organisation responsible for disseminating security advice and best practice to UK businesses. According to them, 88% of all cyber attacks are low-skilled and opportunist. And that means that you're attacked because you're vulnerable. And many of those attacks use automated tools, and they exploit out-of-date software in many cases. The average cost of a data breach for an SMB organisation can be as much as £90,000. And that doesn't include the loss of your most valuable assets, and that's your reputation and your client's trust. And that's especially valuable for organisations like ours and our customers who are in professional services. Finally, over 85% of SMBs have PCs that are over 4 years old, which is a fairly startling statistic. We'll talk a little bit more about that later. So what are the challenges that we face in professional services organisations? Well, end of support for our critical software is almost upon us. And we'll talk a little bit more about what that means in the next slide. More practically, we've got disorganised file sharing and collaboration and decision making. And that's because if it's hard to share information in the modern workplace, then your users are going to find another way to do that. And we actually call that shadow IT in the industry. It's the idea that tools, that perfectly legitimate tools like Box, Dropbox, iCloud, tools that people are familiar with in their personal lives, start to trickle into the workplace because they make the job of sharing files easier. Now, in a business environment and in a post-GDPR world, that means your organization's lost control of that data, and they're like compliance and liability and data breach issues galore. Finally, there's a critical need for the right tools. In order to attract the right talent, and your staff, you need to offer mobile working options in the modern world. Our colleagues who are entering the workplace for the first time from higher education, they expect to work hard, but they also expect to be flexible, and they expect that from us as employers. So they want to work from any location, on any device. They want to work out of hours when it suits them. And providing that is a key way to actually attract and retain talent. Your leadership teams need to work from more places, they need to work securely, and they need to work on high value projects at the drop of a hat. And overall, everybody wants more flexible and productive working in the modern world. So we talked a little bit about end of support being upon us, and it's worth spending a little bit of time understanding what that actually means. So cyber criminals, hackers, and also legitimate security researchers constantly reverse engineer and research software to try and find a vulnerability. And that's the name that we give to something that makes the software behave in a way that the vendor never intended or anticipated. Now, for hackers, vulnerabilities allow them to create malicious software that exploits that vulnerability to take control of your computer and to steal your data and funds. That's their end game. Now, while software is under support, and especially software from reputable vendors like Microsoft, the vendor produces very regular updates, at least monthly, to fix those vulnerabilities as they're announced. And that's a constant game of whack-a-mole between the vendors and the hackers. And mostly the main software vendors keep reasonably well on top of that. Now, when software reaches end of support, what that means is Microsoft will stop producing updates and fixes for security issues or bugs. And that means that for Windows 7, that's going to happen in January, January the 14th. And for Office 2010, that's going to happen a bit later in the year, in October. And when that happens, Microsoft won't produce any more updates, but those hackers will continue to find new vulnerabilities in that software, and those vulnerabilities will never get fixed. Now, what that means is that if you continue to run that software after January or after October, it will become an increasing liability for you and your business. So a few interesting stats. According to Forrester, who are a research organisation, 4 hours a week can be saved by information workers, knowledge workers, through improved collaboration and information sharing. And that takes us a little bit closer to working that 4-day week that everybody's interested in. We can avoid security risks, which make up most of the 88% of low-skilled and opportunist cyber attacks. And the total cost of owning a PC, this is a surprising statistic even for me, the total cost of owning a 4-year-old PC is £1,846. Now, considering that you can buy a modern PC for circa £350, £300, something of that nature, that's 5 times the cost of just simply replacing that with a modern machine. So how can Windows 10 and Office 365 help? Well, we propose that you solve these challenges by moving to Windows 10 on the desktop and moving your file and information sharing to Office 365. You get better productivity out of that because these tools are designed to work together. Windows 10 and Office 365. So Office 365 is Microsoft's cloud platform that offers email, calendar sharing, contact sharing, what most people will traditionally do in Microsoft Outlook. But it also offers the ability to share files. So that might be Word or Excel documents, PowerPoint presentations, but in fact, any type of file that you share between multiple colleagues. But it also has this huge ecosystem of hundreds of apps. So it's not just Word, Excel, and PowerPoint and Outlook. For example, there's OneNote, which is a tool that personally I couldn't live without, that I use for all of my note-taking in meetings and such like. There's Teams, which is a chat and collaboration system, and we use that very heavily in our business as well. You can chat with colleagues, share information, do video calling as well. And there's also Flow, which helps you automate entire workflows, so things like absence management, expenses, almost any workflow that you can draw in a picture it will help you automate. And those are just 3 or 4 examples of the hundreds of apps that are in the Office 365 ecosystem. You can reduce costs because when you work from more locations, you reduce travel costs, you can work whenever you want, and you can provide a better service to your customers. And in our business, all of these tools, they free up our team to work from anywhere they want. And we quite literally couldn't run our business without them. You also enhance security. So when you move to Windows 10 and Office 365, you benefit from Microsoft's near $1 billion a year investments in security. Now, 5 or 6 years ago, Microsoft were something of an outsider where security was concerned, and they certainly didn't shout about what they did. And that's very much changed. They've upped their game, and they're now a market leader. They have something like 120 million monthly users on Office 365. And that's, at the very least, is an awful lot of email that they can use to understand what the current emerging threat landscape looks like. And they learn from that, and they feed all of that back into new products, new virus definitions, and new protection for Windows 10 and Office 365. So time is short. We probably only have 2 months, 3 months-ish to consider upgrading Windows 7 to Windows 10. So it's quite important to act now. And if you're unsure of where to start on your Getting Modern journey, then we recommend that you consider starting by upgrading your desktops. So once your desktops are upgraded to Windows 10, you've mitigated that upcoming security risk of end of support for Windows 7. When you've done that, you can consider moving your email and file sharing to Office 365. And at Lucid, our advice is that businesses simply shouldn't be running what we call commodity services like email in-house anymore. Office 365 is the best place for that. And the same is true for the vast majority of file sharing activities as well. And then finally, we have Microsoft 365, that combines Windows 10 and Office 365 together with the security offerings that $1 billion a year investment pays for. And it brings all of that together in a security, in a package to provide a complete solution. So how can we help at Lucid? Well, we can help you in 3 ways. We can help you with planning. So we're a Microsoft Silver partner, and that's specifically for our work in helping companies move to the Office 365 cloud. Our experts will plan the whole process for you, and we'll help you avoid disruption and downtime for your business. We'll also give you practical technical help. So we're a consultancy, but we won't just tell you what to do. We have experienced technicians who will come and help do the upgrade work for you, or work alongside your IT team if you have one on a larger project. We'll also provide you with ongoing support. So once you've moved to Windows 10 and 365 Business, we'll support you every step of the way. We'll help you get the best possible use out of your new technology now and into the future. So thank you very much for attending. We have some time for some questions. On your screen on the left-hand side, there is a questions box where you can type them in. If anyone has any questions, I'll attempt to answer those for you. Okay, so we've got a couple of questions coming in. Someone's asking, what happens if you don't upgrade by January 2020? Well, Microsoft releases security updates for their products every month. So you will immediately, if you're still running Windows 7 anywhere in your business, those Windows 7 machines will immediately become a liability for you because they will be a target for malicious hackers. I referred earlier to the way that the vulnerabilities that exist in software are still going to be there. And because they're never going to get fixed, when attackers find those vulnerabilities, they'll be able to write malware that continually exploits those vulnerabilities. And your antivirus can't help you with that. So there is a limit to the value of antivirus when you're dealing with vulnerabilities that are well known and widely exploited. So those Windows 7 machines will become a liability, and they will become an increasing liability as time passes. It will only be a matter of time before something happens and one of those machines is compromised. So we've got someone else asking a question. How disruptive is the process of upgrading going to be? That's a good question, actually. So there are several options for upgrading to Windows 10. You can do a completely clean install, which involves wiping everything off your computer and starting again. Now, in an ideal world, that would be our recommendation. But, and this is especially relevant to people in professional services who have applications that are industry specific, that's going to be troublesome if you need to reinstall those. You can do what's called an in-place upgrade to Windows 10. And that's where you upgrade Windows 7 to Windows 10, and all your data and your applications remain intact. Following the upgrade process, you're then running on Windows 10. So the answer is the process doesn't have to be disruptive at all, and you can make a start very, very quickly and phase that over a number of weeks. So someone else is asking, will Windows 10 run on my existing hardware? So any PC that's been manufactured in the last 3 years, I would be fairly confident of saying that Windows 10 will run on it. It's been designed to, so previous iterations of Microsoft operating systems, so when we went from Windows XP to Windows 7, there were very different hardware requirements, and effectively there was a requirement for you to throw away your old hardware and buy new. That's deliberately not the case with Windows 10. Microsoft are hugely concerned about the number of people that are still running old products, and they've designed Windows 10 to be a drop-in replacement to make it as easy as possible for people to upgrade without having to buy new hardware. That said, if you do choose to purchase new hardware, then now may be a good time to consider that, because any new PC that ships today will ship with a Windows 10 license. Okay, I hope that answered your questions for the people that asked those. Does anyone else have any other questions? Okay, how long do I think the process would take to upgrade to Windows 10? So on a single machine, that process can be something like an hour. It may take a little bit longer depending on the number of applications that you have. You can extrapolate that out to the size of your business. To the gentleman that asked that, is that the reply that is that the kind of thing you were looking for? Were you asking for a sort of a per user, per computer response? Per user, yeah, okay, yeah, thank you. Okay, does anyone else have any questions? Okay, so thank you very much. If you would like to carry on the conversation, my details are up there. You can connect with me on LinkedIn. You could give us a call. We'll be happy to take your call and discuss any ongoing projects that you might have. Or you can email me at james@lucidnetworks.co.uk.